I'd like to welcome everyone to this January 26th Stayton Planning Commission meeting. We're now calling the meeting to order. First administrative thing tonight is the review of the minutes from last month's meeting. I'm assuming all commission members have reviewed the minutes. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, do I have a second to approve the minutes from last month? Motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes from last month's meeting.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right, so we have before us tonight 3 hearings. Hold on just a second here. Perfect. 3 hearings before us tonight. When I do those hearings, each hearing requires by rule that I read a specific narrative when I open each hearing. So I'm going to go through it 3 times, and I just know that's why I'm doing it. All right. So I'm going to open the first hearing. It's for land use file number 708/25. It's an application for site plan review for the development of a triplex on a vacant 2.4 acre property on Ida Street in medium density residential zone. Do I have a staff report?
Yes, thank you. Before you tonight is an application for a site plan review to construct a triplex on a vacant 0.24 acre property located on West Ida Street in the medium density residential zone. The property was created by a part of a 3-lot partition that was approved in October 2024. And the proposed triplex is allowed housing type in the medium density zone, subject to site plan review. Staff has reviewed the application against the site plan review criteria in the state municipal code, as well as the applicable standards for parking, landscaping, lighting, and multifamily residential design. Notice was provided to the city departments and outside agencies, and comments were received from Public Works and the city's transportation consultant. The staff finds that majority of the applicant criteria has been met. However, there are several items that require conditions of approval to ensure full compliance with the code. These include submitting a peak hour trip generation information or receiving a waiver from the Public Works Director. They did receive a waiver from someone in Public Works, but it's required that it be from the director. Revising the site plan to provide 1 ADA accessible parking. That is a design requirement. And that the width of the paved area be 16 feet paved with 20 feet clear. And in their site plan, it's only 12 feet. They're also required to provide 40 square foot of private open space patios. That is part of the multi-family design guidelines for ground floor units, and that they should revise the site plan to include irrigation and shrubs with a minimum planting of height of 24 inches. They submitted 12 inches, and I know it says that in the landscape plan it's required to be 24 inches at planting. So with these conditions in place, the staff finds the applicant meets the applicable approval criteria and recommends approval of the site plan review with the adoption of the draft order as presented with those conditions.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Now, I'm remiss. I said I was going to read things 3 times and I jumped to the next thing in the line. So I'm going to go back and read it again so we make sure everything is on record. So here we go. Good evening. My name is Larry McKinley. I'm the chairperson of the Stayton Planning Commission. I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place set for the public hearing in the matter of land use file number 7-08/25, an application for site plan review for development of a triplex on a vacant 2.4 acre property on Ida Street, tax lot 091W10CC03002 in the medium density residential zone. This hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement be made to those in attendance that covers certain matters relative to this case. That statement, with all the information required to be presented under ORS 197.797 Bowleg 5, is printed and available at the back counter. If anyone has any questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it not being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes to your turn to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for this evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called on to speak during the public hearing, the Planning Commission's rules of procedure for land use public hearings, and a handout written to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You are encouraged to obtain and read a copy of these documents as well. At this time, I would like to ask the audience if there are any objections to the notice that was sent in this case. Hearing none, to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. Hearing none, are there any declarations of conflict of interest, ex parte contact, or bias by any members of this body? Hearing none. We're now ready for the staff introduction report, which we just had. So it's time. Is there an applicant here?
Yeah, the applicant will be through Zoom.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
And Levi, do you want to introduce yourself and Ross?
And hit your button there. Thank you. Try it again. Try it again.
Try now. Try now. Really?
Watch
You
me.
hit the button.
Watch me. Watch me.
I hear it. It's red. That's. Try again.
No, the red light needs to be red. There, that's right.
Hello. Oh, there we go. My name's Levi Warner, North Indian Paving, PO Box 516, Stayton, Oregon. I'm the civil engineer for the project, and Ross is the applicant.
Hi, can everybody hear me okay? Is there any audio? How about now? Can you hear me now? Is my microphone working now?
You can hear us, Ross?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
We can just hear you barely.
Let me try and turn up the microphone. Is that any better?
I can call here. I'll put him on speaker. Yeah, I'm just gonna put you on speaker. All right, you should be good.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. So as Jennifer, hang on a second.
Can you turn off
As
your-
Jennifer covered, well, I guess I'll start. My name is Ross Boxler. I'm the applicant on behalf of Cardboard Box LLC. Address is 41203 Kingston Lyons Drive, Southeast, Stayton. Like Jennifer mentioned, this is for the triplex development on Ida. So per staff's recommendations, Our intent is to work directly with Jennifer in the Public Works during the building permit phase to address those items that she called out as conditions of approval in that draft order. We'd like to do that without requesting any further review from the commission. Those items are like she mentioned, the design details, the driveway width, the planting, dimensional clarifications, etc. So based on that, I'm requesting that the commission approve the application and adopt the staff report and the draft order as it's presented, with the understanding that those items will be addressed with staff in the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Levi's there obviously as well. Let us know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll go to questions from the commission. Is there any questions from the commission regarding this application?
Just have one. Looking through the site plan, and I see the where you have the parking and the driveways set out. One in garage parking, and then one exterior parking space. And this is a problem throughout. As I go through like all of the triplex and quadruplex places, I have never seen anybody actually put a car in one of those garages. They're all filled with stuff that doesn't fit the rest. So in that case, where do the excess cars go in this case?
You want to answer that, or want me to?
Go ahead.
So the intent is for them to park in the garages. We're able to use that as a parking space to count towards the parking minimums that are required.
Okay, I mean,
In my understanding, they're providing parking spaces for the tenants in the garage and
Correct,
the in
yes.
front, and that's their requirement to do that.
yeah, I understand,
But
that's
what
not the
happens down-
reality.
But that's
Okay.
not in the planning commission. Okay. Any other commission discussion? Hearing none. Is there an applicant summary? No. I didn't hear one. Staff summary?
Staff is fine with approving the draft as laid out. The conditions seem very minimal. There's just a lot of little things that the staff can work with the applicant to do. Yes.
Very good. All right. There's no other input at this time. I will close the public hearing. Commission deliberation? This is a triplex or a lot that we petitioned a
Right.
few months back. And it's a development that fits in the area in the medium density disclosure designation. So I have no input on it other than that. It meets requirements. All right.
Is there any public input?
No, they already had that. The hearing is closed. So at this point, is there any discussion, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I move that the Stayton Planning Commission approve the application for site plan review for Ross Boschler, Cardboard Box LLC, West Ida Triplex, land use file number 7-08/25, and adopt the draft order presented by staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Final statement, the commission's decision may be appealed to the state and city council within 14 days of the mailing of the notice of decision in accordance. All right, thank you. All right, it's time to open the second hearing for tonight. Good evening, my name is Larry McKinley. I am the chairperson for the Stayton Planning Commission, and I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place set for the public hearing and the review of land use file number 11-09/25, an application for site plan review for two duplexes on 1100 East San Am Street, tax lot number 091W11CB02300 in the medium density residential zone. This hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement be made to those in attendance that covers certain matters relative to this case. The statement with all the information required to be presented under ORS 197-797 Bowleg 5 is printed and available at the back counter. If anyone has any questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it not being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes to your time to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for the evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called on to speak during the public hearing. The Planning Commission rules a procedure for land use public hearings and a handout written to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You are encouraged to obtain and read a copy of these documents as well. At this time, I would ask the audience if there are any objections to the notice that was sent in this case. Hearing none, to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. Hearing none, are there any declarations of conflict of interest, ex parte contact, or bias by any members of this body? Hearing none, we are now ready for the staff introduction report.
Thank you. As we said, the application is for a site plan review for the development of 2 duplexes, meaning 4 units on 1100 East Santiam. It's a 0.42 acre property in the medium density residential zone. When there are more than 1 duplex, it requires a site plan review, and that is why it's here. Staff reviewed the application against the site plan review criteria in the municipal code, along with the standards for utilities, transportation, access, parking, multifamily design, and landscaping. Notice was provided to the city departments and outside agencies, and comments were received from Public Works, the transportation consultant for the city, and the Marion County Public Works. They had some comments as well. Staff finds that several criteria can be met. However, the proposal does not currently demonstrate a full compliance with the code. Key issues addressed throughout the conditions that approval include stormwater documentation, driveway location and access alignment, required frontage improvements, right-of-way dedication along designated major collectors, parking, bicycle facilities, a verification of multi-family design standards, and a clarification of certain landscape plan details. With these conditions in place, staff finds the application can be met for the approval criteria. I also want to, within the draft ordinance, draft approval, you'll see that the conditions are pretty lengthy, and it took a while to write them. There are quite a few things that were lacking, but I've written them out clearly so that the applicant can make those changes. One of the changes were to change the place where the driveway is to mirror the whole property, the whole development, because Marion County had asked that the driveways not be directly across from each other for the other unit. And there were some additional comments that you've included in the application from Public Works that you'll see. So I just want to make a note of that, because I would say that the conditions are pretty lengthy, but that's why. That's all.
Thank you. Is there an applicant presentation? Touch the button, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you. My name is Mark Grins. I'm with Multitech Engineering. We're representing the applicant before this matter this evening to you guys. It's pretty straightforward, as Jennifer outlined. Our client's proposing to put 2 duplexes on this piece of property. We think it's a pretty effective use of this parcel, laid out pretty well. We had originally set the driveway up to be closer to the street that's on the opposite side because we thought that might make effective use of that. And with the development of the adjoining property someday in the future, would pretty much be across the street from that street. But Marion County felt differently, so we can mirror it. So it's not a problem for us to do that. But that was why we set it up that way. We also did provide the city with a preliminary stormwater report addressing stormwater for this project. So I think if I understand it right, that's all that's deficient is the final report. Because we did address how stormwater would be handled during the application process. So, but we're okay with the conditions that staff has set out here for this piece of property, and be happy to answer any questions that you might have of us right now.
Are there questions from the commission?
Yes, I have one. I'm looking at the picture that I was presented with, and I see a house kind of sitting in the kind of towards the offset from the middle. Where are you going to be putting these duplexes at?
The house will be demoed and the duplexes will be constructed on the site.
Okay, so you're going to demo the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
Additional questions? That was your question. Very good. Yeah, I think actually it's going to be an improvement to the lot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If there are no other questions from the commission, other questions or testimony from the public? Seeing none. I'm assuming what you gave us was your summary, sir? Very good. Staff summary.
Staff is fine with all the conditions being included.
Very good. Thank you. With that said, I'm going to close the public hearing at this point and deliberation from the commission. I don't know if any of you have driven by this lot on Santiam, but I have and looked at it. Demolition of the home and cleaning that up will be a definite improvement to that location because it's not being utilized now as anything, but a vacant lot with a derelict home on it. So is there any other discussion from the commission? Deliberation? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move the Stayton Planning Commission approve the application for the site plan review for Sly Torin, 1100 East Santiam Street duplexes, land use file number 11-09/25, and adopt the draft order presented by staff.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Again, the commission's decision may be appealed to the state and city council within 14 days of the mailing of the notice of decision in accordance. All right, we are to our third hearing for the night. And here we go. Good evening. My name is Larry McKinley. I am the vice chairperson. I am the chairperson for the State and Planning Commission. I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place set for the public hearing in the matter of land use file number 16-12/24. An application for annexation of 3 parcels. 1, 9164 Golf Club Road. Number 2, 9384 Golf Club Road. Part of parcel, and 3, 9474 Golf Club Road. Part of parcel. Has been submitted proposing a zoning designation of medium density residential. This hearing is now open. Oregon land use law requires a statement be made in those in attendance that it covers certain matters relative to this case. That statement, with all the information required to be presented under ORS 197-797 Bow Leg 5, is printed and available at the back counter. If anyone has any questions regarding anything on the statement or objects to it not being read out loud, please raise those questions when it comes to your turn to speak during the hearing. Also at the back counter is the agenda for this evening's meeting, which lays out the order in which people will be called on to speak during the public hearing. The Planning Commission's rules of procedure for land use public hearings and a handout written to facilitate your participation in the public hearing. You are encouraged to obtain and read a copy of all these documents as well. At this time, I would like to ask the audience if there are any objections to the notice that was sent in this case. Hearing none, to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case. What?
We got mailed to us just about the hearing today. That's all we got.
Yeah, that's all you get. If you're
Never received any notice.
and how close do you live to the property?
I'm right there.
Well, you got a notice mailed to you?
It backs up on my pasture.
I'm sorry. Did you get a notice? Did you receive one in the mail? All right. And you, sir?
We never got a notice.
And you live where?
Live at 9584 Golf Club Road. Part of the annexation is going to affect my property.
Okay.
Which, what is it? What is your address? 9584 Golf Club Road.
And something else also, that first paper that you mentioned, was that a site plan you said?
There is no site plan at this time. This is only for annexation from the UGB into the city. A concept plan would come at a later date.
I'm just looking up the address. And are you Randall Blair?
Yes.
You were on the list to get the mailing. I'm glad you were able to come.
Know anything about this from our neighbor that notified us that you guys were having a meeting for the housing that you put on hold. And then today, we were notified it was the annex. We've never received anything in the mail.
Okay, we'll make sure you get any additional hearings. But we use what's in the Marion County Tax Assessor. We don't do certified mail. We just do regular mail.
So without receiving notification, if they didn't receive notification, can we continue with the hearing tonight? We can continue. Okay, we will continue the hearing. All right. Okay, where were we? So are there any declarations of conflict of interest, ex parte contact, or bias by any members of this body? So I have to declare conflict. I happen to know Yvonne Parsons. And we were involved. She also attends church with me, and I cannot sit here during this hearing and make a decision based on that. So I will turn it over to the vice chair, Amy, and let her take the hearing from there.
Thank you. So Jennifer will give us a staff introduction and report.
Yes. So before you tonight is an application for annexation of approximately 59.63 acres consisting of 3 parcels and approximately 3,000 foot segment along Golf Club Road. The properties are located within the city's urban growth boundary and currently under Marion County's jurisdiction. The applicant is requesting annexation with the proposal of medium density residential district. The staff reviewed the application against the annexation criteria, and the attached draft order contains detailed findings, community needs, continuity, availability of urban services, compatibility with surrounding land uses, and compliance with state and local law. I can just mention that the notices did go out, and about a day or two later was when the applicant withdrew their subdivision application and just we're going forward with the annexation. Let's see. Things. I wanted to talk about the parcels themselves, because if you look at the Marion County tax assessors database, you'll just see one of the properties is parceled. The other property is parceled. It just hasn't been updated on the Marion County website, but the applicant did submit copies of the partition. And then the last parcel, I was told, was submitted to the county, and we anticipate it's going to be approved. It's either been approved or really close to being approved. So some of the criteria, I think I mentioned at a previous hearing, the city's various needs and numbers of needs. Let me see. The previous, I'm not seeing the numbers right now, but I know that they're around, it said from our 2013 comprehensive plan that we needed 889 single-family units in the city and 193 duplexes. And I had figured out all the different subdivisions since then and come up with here it is. I see it. So from the analysis, it's been determined that there's 753 single-family homes that are needed and 191 duplexes or attached single-family units that are needed, and only 2 multifamily units. We talked about that before, so that includes triplexes. And we said we don't need them because we had gained so many with the Shaft Square apartments and Fern Ridge, those apartments. So it would allow, having a medium density zone would allow the potential to have both single family and duplexes. It would also allow triplexes. So it's hard to say where the need, because there is a need for the the duplexes and the single family, but not as much for the triplexes overall to come into the city. But given that, I felt that it did meet the needs for the city. And then if the other criteria is the city adequate for services, and there was a lengthy finding provided. There is a lot that would need to be done for development, but this is only an annexation and not about development right now. It would involve providing stormwater drainage. It would mean upgrading the frontage on Golf Club Road. It would involve extending the water line all the way up Golf Club Road. And so there's a lot that would need to be done. But again, that's more when development comes, when the subdivision comes. And another criteria is the proposed annexation is contiguous with the city's jurisdictional limits. And the way that it would be contiguous is by using the right of way on Golf Club Road. And I did talk to the city's attorney, including today and months ago, about that being an issue. there's a thing called a cherry stem. It's a cherry stand annex because we're taking the road and connecting it to other parcels. And he said that is doable, that you can say that that's contiguous, and as long as it's reasonable. So we found that was the case. And then and I know that all the owners of those applicants had signed an application wanting this annexation to go through. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. So now, do we have an applicant presentation?
We do. Good evening, Vice Chair and members of the Planning Commission. My name is David Dodson. I'm with Willamette Valley Planning. I'm the planning consultant working on the project. And for the record, my address is 5020 Northwest Highway 99 in Corvallis, Oregon, zip code 97330. With me this evening is the developer, Randy Myers with Brownstone Homes, as well as our civil engineer, Mark Gretz with Multi-Tech Engineering. So approval of this annexation will provide an opportunity for Brownstone Homes to come back before the Planning Commission with detailed plans to subdivide the property into approximately 126 lots. That was the plan that we previously had submitted. There turned out to be some issues with our phasing plan. It was going to be done in 3 phases, and we had some internal problems with that. And so we withdrew that application, but we do intend to come back probably in the next couple of weeks with modifications for, again, another phase subdivision that would be subject to notification and review and approval by the Planning Commission in the future. So based on the city's buildable lands inventory and recent development activities, Stayton continues to have an identified need for additional single-family housing. And I can tell you that my client, Randy, is only interested in single-family homes. He's not interested in duplexes or triplexes at this point. Our project engineer, the Public Works Director, have determined the property can be served with water, sewer, and storm drainage to support the new housing. The annexation does include a 3,000-foot segment of Golf Club Road, as Jennifer had mentioned, to ensure it's contiguous with this existing city limits. In conclusion, we concur with the recommendations in the staff report that supports approval of the request before you tonight. And I'm available to answer any questions, as well as either the client, Randy, and or our project engineer, Mark, as well.
Thank you. So now we can take questions from the commission.
Yes.
I have a problem because all I have is this picture, sky view picture of the property, and no lines showing where the annexation lines are or anything. And so I'm a little, based on the information I have, I couldn't make a decision tonight based on what I have. Okay.
Do you have a question?
So this does not mean any of the neighbors are going to be incorporated into the city then. They're still separate from the town city, right? They're not being annexed in?
You're asking me if any of so again, there are 3 property owners who have consented to annex their property.
Okay, but the other neighbors who have not consented, they're not being forced to.
No, they are not
Okay.
being forced. That is at their own discretion.
Other questions?
Yeah, I have just 2, and one of them, I know the cherry stem annexation, or they also call it ribbon annexation. While technically legal, has caused a lot of problems, and a lot of times it's the source of lawsuits down the line. You know, there's a couple up in Portland that they called the ribbon of shame. You know, where, I mean, using the cherry stem thing, you can go an awful long distance and say, oh, this is contiguous. So I have an issue with that. But the second issue, looking at the pieces that you're going to develop, and you have agriculture pieces that are kind of isolated and bumped right up next to large residential developments, and agriculture and residential in general don't get along. There's a lot of problems, you know, that happen. And I know this from experience, that when you put 12 houses on the back of an agricultural property, you're going to get 12 people complaining. So that seems to be a problem that we don't really need, when if we could combine all of that property, right, would make a tremendous amount of sense to go straight up everything to the east side of Golf Club Road. Now, I don't know if you want to wait until those other properties are available, but that would make a much cleaner solution to the annexation and the development of large residential paths. I guess that isn't really a question.
So the question, I think, is is there any parcels or portions of land that have not been considered yet that would make this make sense on a different scale, where it would not be doing the cherry stem annexation type?
Yeah, and again, like as you indicated, we're several parcels away from the existing city limits. Again, they're fairly large parcels out in that part of town. There is in Oregon a right to farm, and so that grants the farmer the ability to do a number of things, regardless of what the smells and impacts might be, in conjunction with farming activities, in conjunction with proximity to residential dwellings and things like that, whether it's spraying or dust from plowing and all those type of things and stuff like that. You know, the property is within the city's urban growth boundary, so it is slated for eventual urbanization and to be within the city limits. I've worked on projects over the years. The vast majority, as you had indicated, are in fact usually the next logical progressive step, because those property owners are interested in annexing and or developing their property. And they're oftentimes contiguous with the existing city limits. But there are also cases where they're not. There might be several holdout parcels in between, and the other folks are interested in developing. And so what happens is we do get a situation where, like this one, where we have an extension along a public right of way in order to connect to the existing city limits. And again, the developer has to front the bill for the utility services that would otherwise only be a short distance away, but have to extend those a considerable distance and at their cost. Nobody else is paying for that. So that does help further, I guess, encourage the eventual annexation of those other properties, because then they have the services in front of their property they might not otherwise have. And so there are some advantages to those people. But again, in Oregon, and it's a good thing, people are not necessarily forced to annex their property if they're not interested, because oftentimes people are very content in the county and their existing dwellings. In fact, if you look at these properties, I believe I think two of the partitions essentially included partitioning the more agricultural uses and preserving the existing dwellings up along the road. And so if you look at the pattern of this annexation application, it includes those other larger pieces so that those people could still reside in their existing dwellings.
Okay, thank you. I just have another quick question. Can you just briefly describe or tell more about the 3,000-foot segment that you're, I think, describing, which would be the cherry stem? So can you just describe that further, or what would happen in the future with that 3,000-foot segment, how that comes into play here?
Well, for one, it would have to be annexed in order to annex these three parcels. So that has to be part of it, and it ties back into where the existing city limits are. In terms of the level of improvements that will occur along that roadway, we won't know until we get into the details of doing our subdivision and come forward with a proposal for what's going to happen there. But as I had indicated, the city services that are needed to serve the future residential development as part of this annexation will be extended along those roads. And so those property owners in between this subject property and the existing city limits will then have the ability, if they want, to consider annexing their property, and as some of those services will be available, which today they're not available. So oftentimes people are discouraged from doing that because of the cost associated with that. Like sometimes you have a situation in the county where somebody's got a failed septic system and they can't get a new approval for a replacement, or they've got a well that's contaminated, or they got some issues with that. And they need to get city services. But it's, again, extremely expensive to extend those services, those public services, to the property. And so by providing that gives an opportunity for those people to tie into those newer services that would be city services. If they annex, they can't tie into those services if they remain in the county.
Okay, thank you. And we're talking about the northern end of Golf Club Road, right? Where it would be annexed.
Well, the 3,000 square foot segment goes from what would be the southern parcel. So there's three parcels, one adjacent to the golf course and then two others. So it's that southern parcel connection all the way down to where the existing city limits is. That's where the 3,000 square foot segment is. It doesn't go all the way up to the golf course.
Okay, property. Thank you for clarifying. Okay, one last quick question. I think you said that the owners, did you say that the owners along Golf Club Road have all signed on to this annexation? The owners of businesses? What? I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. So the three owners of the properties that we are proposing to annex have provided consent to annex their property. Okay. So that was part of what Jennifer mentioned in the original application. We've not talked with all the other property owners up and down the road, although a number of them might be here tonight to share how they feel. But in the event that they would be interested in participating in the annexation.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. I think now it's time for a question, and unless there's any more questions from the commission, it's now time for questions from the questions and testimony from the public.
So if people can come up just one at a time, state your name and your address.
Good evening, commissioners. Just an introductory statement. As a former member of this commission many years ago.
I'm so sorry. Can we get your name? And
I'm Charles Hawkins, 9534 Golf Club Road.
Thank you.
I empathize with what you have to go through on some of these things. I'm providing written testimony to each of you, and a copy went to the proponent. I do it just for clarity, but I will read it for those who are in the audience. excuse me, a few months ago, we received notification of a proposed subdivision on Golf Club Road Southeast, which is adjacent to our north property line at 9534 Golf Club Road Southeast. At the time, I provided comments regarding concerns about overland water issues, which is a matter of record. At that time, there was no mention of annexing any part of Golf Club Road Southeast that I recall. This new proposal, an annexation without the proposed subdivision, now includes annexing about 3,000 feet of Golf Club Road as part of the proposal. There is no notification given to landowners on Golf Club Road of this pending decision or the implications of approval of annexation. I contacted Marion County Planning for clarification, and the bottom line is this is a proposal to change ownership and responsibility for Golf Club Road from Marion County to the city of Stayton. In the proposal package, page 2 of 6, titled Public Works Infrastructure Deficiency, it clearly states that if Golf Club Road remained under Marion County jurisdiction, that the right-of-way would be 64 feet. If Golf Club Road is annexed into the city of Stayton, the right-of-way would be 100 feet, affecting owners on both sides of Golf Club Road. It goes without saying that all landowners along Golf Club Road should have been notified of such an important proposal to allow them to evaluate the implications for their property and for them to offer public comment. On the surface, it looks like the change from proposed development to annexation only is a deceptive move to increase property values of the parcels in the once proposed development, which would be city property rather than county property. But it is also obvious that the annexation is only possible if there is a way to connect the parcels to current city boundaries. The use of Golf Club Road annexation for this purpose is not appropriate. I recommend the Planning Commission either defer any decision until all property owners on Golf Club Road Southeast can be advised of the specifics, including maps of this annexation, or simply deny the annexation as currently written. As a landowner on Golf Club Road Southeast, I prefer the current 64-foot right-of-way used by Marion County to the 100-foot right-of-way required by the city of Stayton. Let the county keep the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have somebody online who also wants to speak. Maybe we'll do it at the last.
My name's George Hand and I'm on 9264 Golf Club Road. And I'm just curious of what they're going to do with the runoff water. Because I know this past month, a 24-inch pipe wouldn't have handled it. So there's already been tons of lawsuits that they're trying to divert the water into Salem ditch. They can't do that because the city of Salem sued the ditch company over that a couple of years ago. So a subdivision like this, you can have a lot of asphalt, a lot of water to handle, and it's not going to come the way it wants to flow. So that's my thing. And also, like the gentleman said, before anything goes any farther, why can't the landowners on Golf Club get a detailed map of what's actually going to happen?
Oh, well, I think just the answer to that last question is we don't have a map yet. Is that correct? We don't have a proposal.
We do have a map. Let's see, the findings do say.
Is that something they can have access to?
Yes. But let's see, Charles Hawkins was correct about I believe it is 54 feet is the proposed annexation, and that Marion County did say they suggested that we have a right of way of 64 feet and that the city standard is 100 feet. So I believe that I did write that up in my findings and analysis that this planning commission would like to maybe ponder what that would mean. And I just want to note that you are doing a recommendation. So you're not providing a final approval of the annexation. It will go to a city council. So that's what you're We're doing a recommendation.
And I have another question. Why aren't these people getting shuffled off onto Kindle Way when the city of Stayton owns a big chunk of property right off the end of Kindle Way? Buy a piece of property through and then bring them out the back into the city of Stayton. Do you guys even know about that? That you actually own property on the opposite side?
We do. We do know that we own it. It's what they didn't, this is a proposal from a separate property owner. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm Betty Han. I'm 9264 Golf Club. Our property actually is on the west side of Golf Club. I think there's 3 of us there that our house numbers are not appropriately numbered. But anyway, it is concerning with the talk of the annexation. It's like, how could they possibly just annex one side of the road, being the east side where these developments would be behind? It's like, are they going to run the city line to the middle of Golf Club and say those of you on the west side aren't in the city limits? It's really confusing to me. I don't know about if it's to anyone else, but so I don't know if they're trying to say that just the east side of Golf Club Road is wanting to be annexed to the city, or if it's the west side as well. I don't know if anyone knows.
It's the whole thing.
So both sides.
Yes. And I want to point out that it would still be under city limits, but it would be owned by Marion County still.
So then how far into properties on the west side would the city zone go?
So the annexation would be just the right of way that currently exists. And so it's 54. I think it varies, the right of way.
If I'm like the center of the road where
I believe it's the whole road. So the center and then on each side. Right. It's 54. So it's 27 on each side of the road.
Okay. Well, one thing I wanted to also point out is that the developer, the representative of the developer behind me who spoke earlier talking about, well, there's a possibility that maybe some of those on the road would act like we would be happy about being annexed into the city because, oh joy, we could get our, if we had a failing septic system, we could now be hooked up to city sewer, and oh boy, we'd be hooked up to city water. We don't want to have to pay for city sewer and water. We already have working septic systems and we have our wells, and there is concern about even these extra, I don't know, possible pollutants to our water sources, to our wells. Do we have to worry about our wells being contaminated because of these developments, because of runoff? There are a lot of things to consider. So I don't want you to to think that those country bumpkins is like, oh yeah, we would really like to be annexed into the city because, oh joy, we could have, city water and city sewer services. And that's just not the case, at least not at 9264 Golf Club Road. We don't wish to be part of the city. And I'm just going to say that right off the bat right here. I hope that for future hearings that happen on this matter, that you will be someone somewhere will be more efficient about sending out these notices. The one about tonight's hearing is the very first one that we have received. So some of the other neighbors have said that they had received them. I know a neighbor to the directly east from us and one directly south, they had received some prior notices, but I said, wow, we didn't get anything. So I was like, doggone it. I don't know why we got missed, but I feel like we're close enough that we should have been notified. So I hope that anything, any of these future ones that come up, that you will please include 9264 in your notices. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, just if we could pause real quick. Did you want to say?
An observation?
I think so.
I think we're a little confused here. I think we're not annexing other people's property. The only thing that's being annexed is the 3 pieces of property that are going to be developed eventually. People that live in the west side are not going to be annexed. The people that are surrounded by this are not going to be annexed. It's very common if you go to Salem, drive down the street, you'll see entering Salem, leaving Salem. There's all kinds of these cherry stem lots in most cities. So it's not unknown of to have that. And so I think any worries about your property being forced into annexation, I think is not true. I think you're safe.
Can we get that in writing?
As part of the state law and city code, we cannot annex something that you did not sign. So, that's part of.
I think you'd have to request to be annexed.
Right.
That'll be a help in our water.
I do want to acknowledge, if I might, that I understand about the right of way, because if we want to take like 100 feet, that would involve possibly going into other people's property. So I am aware, but that would not be the case with annexation. It would just be the right of way. It may involve issues in the future with developing that property, but there's going to be no one taking your property or taking an additional right of way in that area.
Can I ask you a question? Now this letter states that the ownership would change from the county to the city of the golf club road. I don't think that's true. The city would just have the right of way. They would not have ownership of the road.
You are correct.
The county would still maintain ownership of the road.
Yes, they would. They would.
Thank you. Okay.
Would it be 100 feet or 60 feet?
64 feet, whatever the county has.
Okay.
It's not what your report says.
Oh, it mentions 100 feet and 64 feet, but that doesn't, we're just covering all our bases for the future development to understand what that issue is. But we will, I've talked to Marion County, and the idea, just like other roads within the city limits, are county owned. Many of the major cities are.
What about the other city limit that goes right to your end? I'm an Almsville resident, not a state resident. You want to go through my property?
Yep.
What do you mean? It goes on the right of way. It goes on the, yeah.
To run utilities from Stayton, you're going through Almsville.
Yep. We're an Almsville address.
You are, I'm going to answer you. You're Marion County. It doesn't, you're in the county. So that.
I may be in the county, but my county address is Almsville, which means I am connected to Almsville.
We get our mail from Almsville.
Right. And that's not going to stop.
They come from Almsville, not Stayton. It's 3 minutes from my house.
Okay. Maybe we should get back, but you will not be annexed. You will not be part of the city.
Okay.
That's what your report says, though. And you need to correct your report. Your report says that it's going to be annexed into the city of Stayton.
Mm-hmm.
It does not say anything else. Your report is wrong then.
Your property is not going to be annexed. The right of way is going to be part of the city, but it will be owned and managed by Marion County. But it will be part of the city limits, the right of way, and these parcels. That's it.
And Jennifer will give a summary here in a few minutes. So we can continue. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I don't know how to work it.
Okay. So we flood 9263 Golf Club Road, Southeast.
And your name, please.
Brandy Stapleton. 9263 Brandy Stapleton.
Go ahead. Thank you.
What is their plan for all the water runoff? We have a spring that comes through all winter and spring that runs through our pasture, comes from all that annexed property. What are they going to do? So are we going to lose all our water that comes through? What are they going to do about the flooding that's back there that comes all the way up to my property? Do they realize what they bought as a swampland? Anybody can answer that.
I'm going to wait until it's time for me to do my summary and keep.
What
Just to
about
keep her from repeating herself, she will address that. Go ahead.
the traffic is horrendous. You can barely cross the street to get your own mail. You're wanting to put in how many homes? And you want Golf Club, one of the deadly roads Stayton has, not to be any deadlier. It's already worse with the Schaff Apartments put in with all the traffic. I have animals. I have children. What happens when they get hit again? My son got hit pulling in my driveway. My parents got hit pulling in my driveway because everybody speeds on Golf Club Road. What are you going to do about the traffic? That's already a nightmare to deal with. Because state and police don't come, Marion County does. And that takes them over a half an hour. I had to have state and police when my son got in a wreck. And it ended up so bad it totaled his car and put him in the hospital. So what's going to happen when over 100 homes get put in and now we have more traffic? What are you guys going to do about it? The schools are overrun. You're wanting more people. Stayton can't house that many more people. No comments, no questions.
I don't think that we have the answers for those. We don't have any answers for those. As far as I know, Jennifer will give a staff summary to probably address all those. But I think the short answer is that we don't have plans on those yet. So we don't have answers. This is just about the
I can
annexation.
say that those things are stormwater, transportation, all of those things come when development comes. All those criteria need to be met, and they are pretty high bar. One of our regulations, and it's mentioned, stormwater runoff has to be dealt with on the property. So no stormwater is allowed to go off the property. If you're going to ask me questions back and forth, I'm just telling you that I understand that that might not be what happens or engineering doesn't work or whatever. I'm just telling you that we don't talk about that at the annexation stage. It's for the development stage, which you will get a notice about if it comes forward.
And so that's why we're just letting you speak, and we're taking public comment at this point in consideration rather than us having answers for you right now, because those aren't it's not our information. It wouldn't be coming from us. It would be coming from the
developer, and then the city will.
And that's not what's before us right now. So we don't have answers on that. So we're sticking to the conversation about annexation right now, and knowing that those are part of a much larger conversation that we will be facing at some point. But right now we're just discussing the annexation. And so Jennifer will give us a recap. So yeah, if you have any other comments, we'll be glad to hear them.
Not if you don't have answers.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Rick Wheatman and I live 11610 Bear Place Southeast on Oregon on Gulf Club Road. Kind of right across from the sewer plant they built out there. When they did the subdevelopment up in Sublimity or Stayton, they dumped all the water from the swamp on us. And I had lawyers there, and the house across from my driveway had a 1.5 foot water inside of it. The water was running all onto our place and then through my cousin Hans's place. And I don't want that to happen again. Now, the lawyers took care of it and they diverted some of that water somewhere, but I don't know where. But Golf Club Road, Salem Ditch runs right through my backyard, and they want to put stuff through our properties to go back there. We don't want it. I'm county. I hope I stay that way till I dead. I've been there since 47, and I hope I stay there until I'm gone. But the concerns I have is the water runoff. Number one is the road right now. Everybody that lives on that road's been hit, I don't know, a number of times just stopping to turn their driveway. And I got a deal from the county, said they wanted to put a 5-lane in Cascade Highway and Golf Club Road. That's ridiculous. How can you turn your driveway on a 5-lane road? You're going to end up getting hit worse, faster. Then they want to put this circle jerk down here at the end of it. And that just make another mess. Right now, Golf Club, when they've done their tests in the summer, moves more traffic than Cascade Highway does because of the stupid lights and stuff. And I think they need to do some real planning. Then they want to take part of our property on Golf Club Road on the west side. And I think if they want to enlarge the city there, they should take it all on the other side. But those are the concerns I have. The main concern I have is the safety on that road, because people getting killed on it, people getting hit off, sometimes 3 a week in the summertime on that road. And that really concerns me because my wife's been hit a couple of times. I've been hit once. You can't just stop and turn your own driveway. And then we have farm equipment going up and down the road, and that's slow moving and sometimes a little wider. And that's an extreme hazard too. And they talk about doing stuff to increase the flow of traffic on the road. Well, it's all because of increasing Stayton, but you're increasing it at the expense of the outlying people. And I understand that you're going to have growth, but I think you need to look at the safety aspect of it first. And most of the people down there have lost wells and everything else because the sewer line from Sublimity to Stayton busted, and it flooded all that swamp ground that they're talking about developing now. And it is swamp ground, so that water got into a lot of the wells over there, and they had to replace. Some of them had to go 300 feet. Emery's old place had to go 300 feet, and we don't want the city sewer and none of that stuff. The water, we have good wells, they test fine. Everything works good. I have irrigation rights on the Salem Ditch. And, when the city comes in, they want you to stop your groundwater, irrigation water. And we have cattle. And I think myself anyway, I'll be fighting it till the day I die because I want to live and die in a county. But that's just my concerns about the whole thing. I understand the city's looking at growing and they need to do it in the right way. But when they did the last expansion and they dumped all the water from the swamp down on us, that was not the right way. I won't never forget that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to stand up. It's a little hard for me to get up and down. I'll raise my voice, but I'm not raising it at you for any particular reason.
So we can hear you.
My name is Randall Blair. I live at 9584 Golf Club Road, Southeast. Listened to a lot of testimony tonight, and I concur with a lot of it. Some of the things I see with my property is the flooding. Now, I know we're not talking about the development. We're talking about annexing. But eventually, if they get it annexed, they're going to develop it. Let's face the fact. So I think we need to look at that also tonight, even though they don't have an application for it at this time. Where's all that water going to go? In the spring, the fall, and the winter, my property is flooded. The eastern 2/3 of my property I can't use most of the year. Where's the water going to go? That's one thing. The other thing is trying to sell this thing that all we're going to do is annex the road so they can cherry stem or whatever you want to call it to annex the property, I think is absolutely wrong. And I think people need to look at what happens in these cases. And I've seen it in Portland and Beaverton and different places that you just keep annexing around somebody and then they don't have any choice. The cities can come in and take over and put them in the city. And then people have no choice. I think that's something that the community needs to look at too. What's going to happen down the road? We've heard testimony about emergency responses. These people are telling you the truth. That's a very dangerous road. They also brought up the school. The schools are overcrowded now. Who's going to build a new school? The average home in Oregon has 2 cars. You build 126 homes, you have 260 cars. The average home has 3 kids that go to school. Where are we going to put those kids? Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't develop, we shouldn't do things, but I think we need to look a little bit more at what's going on. Also, I think it's very important that when you send these notices out, you should send them certified, because we've testified more than just me that didn't get a notice. I'm asking this committee to deny the application for annexation into the city. I haven't had time to consult my attorney on how this affects me because I didn't get anything. My neighbor had to tell me what was going on. I haven't had time to do the kind of research that I'd like to do. So that's my input tonight, that I think you should turn it down. More study needs to be done. Thanks, committee, for your time this evening.
Thank you.
We do have someone online.
Looks like we might have another.
I remembered one more thing, and we were talking about the traffic safety, and I would like to add that indeed, in the time that we've lived at 9264, we have been rear-ended or hit turning into, either waiting to turn into our driveway or while turning into our driveway. Our family members have been hit 3 times. And I still suffer with an issue with my shoulder blade from mine, and mine happened in 1996. So this is 30 years that I've been dealing with a shoulder blade issue from getting rear-ended at my own, waiting to turn into my own driveway. So 30 years ago, even, we had issues on our road. And when we first moved to the farm place in
1986, the population at the end of the road was something like 3,900, whatever. I can't remember. It was less than 4,000. And now I think that the city of Stayton is probably approaching the 9,000 mark, maybe over. I'm not sure exactly, but in this time frame of this from 1986 till now, we definitely have seen a big, huge change in the traffic on our road as it is now, and that's without any future development that could come. But yeah, I just do not know what we are going to do with our road, and the fact that the traffic just continues to get worse as everything grows. I mean, our bedroom is fairly close to the road, and I can be awake at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning still hearing lots of cars going by. It is amazing how much traffic is already there without future development. And so I hope that, yeah, some of these, and again, I know we're only talking about annexation, but we all know that with annexation, then just like Mr. Hawkins said, that yes, indeed, probably the development will be coming in the near future. So yeah, I just don't know what the answers are for Golf Club Road traffic wise. It's definitely not going to get better. I don't know what really you can do to make it better because of our population growing. So yeah, so I just wanted to let you know that yes, indeed, here is another testimony that road is not the best one to live on. We've had traffic backed lately. We sometimes during like between the 3:30 and the 5:30 hour, we have had traffic backed clear up to our driveway from the four-way stop at McDonald's. And from our house, I've looked at my odometer, from our house to McDonald's is about a mile. So that's quite a backup as it is right now without extra people. And it kind of is my understanding that Golf Club Road, people use that road to head out to Highway 22 to head on to Salem and Portland, and they're coming from Scioto and they're coming from all over and using our road as a main one. Plus we have lots of trucks that go on our road. So yeah, some of our houses rattle with the truck traffic, but anyway, yeah, just I think traffic situation, road safety is a big thing to consider for future whatever's going to happen there.
Thank you. Would you mind just stating your name again for the record? I'm so sorry.
Betty Han. The last name is spelled Hann.
Thank you. Okay, I think we are finally ready for our testimony online.
You guys hear me? Hopefully.
I'm not sure if we're hearing you yet.
Yeah, I think you have a speaker problem.
Just one moment.
Yeah,
We're not hearing you.
Carl, we're having trouble hearing you. Can I have you call me and we can put you on my phone? I can give you my number, maybe. Carl, I'm going to send you my phone number on through email. Can you read my email?
Yeah, as soon as I
What did he say? Yes. Okay.
Can I make one observation while we're waiting? Can I make an observation while we're waiting? Just for information, according to my knowledge, unfortunately, planning commissions are not allowed legally to take into account school populations. The state has ruled that we can't consider schools into our planning. So I think it's a dumb rule, but that's one of the rules. So when you bring up schools, there's nothing we can do about that.
Hi, Carl. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we got you. Go ahead. Sorry, technical difficulties.
Give me just a second here. I've got a fuse. Looks like we got, hang on, I got two back up here. Okay. I'm going to try to work through this because I'm getting feeding back. The vice chairs and members of the commission, I'm Carl Gomal, and I live at 12174 Golf Lane, Sublimity, Oregon, 973. I am in opposition of the annexation of the golf club road property. Hang on here just a second. There's so much feedback.
Yeah, Carl, we don't have feedback from you, but I would suggest if you take it off speaker, if you just talk with us on the phone.
Yeah, how's that? Is that better?
That's fine. That's good.
It is for me. I was able to mute my computer speakers. Thank you. So let me start again. So vice chair and members of the commission, I'm Carl Gomal, and I live at 12174 Golf Lane, Sublimity, Oregon, 97385. I am in opposition of the annexation of the golf club road properties. This summary, let me share my screen for you real quick, if I may. Can you give me the ability to share screen? Thank you. This summary consolidates 3 points: the legal, the technical, and the economic arguments against the annexation of the tax lots mentioned within the land use file number 161224 and my previous letter to the Planning Commission on this subject. I'll use the last 3 numbers of their tax lot numbers for ease of this conversation. The northern lot is 200, the middle lot is 900, and the southern lot is 000. The city lacks the legal standing to annex these parcels because they are not contiguous to existing city limits. Ordinance number 971, 1056, and 1045 only provided annexation of Golf Club Road for 956 feet north of the intersection of Shaft Road. That's
right there. And looking at the properties you've shown me, there is a clear physical and legal gap between the current city limits and the subject properties, which would constitute an unauthorized leapfrog annexation, which is in violation of ORS 222.111. The cherry stream, or the cherry stem, is the carriage before the horse. The land would have to be annexed prior to the road being annexed. The land can't be annexed because it's not continuous. Give me a second to pull another picture up here, if you would, please. These are pictures of the flooding that happened within the properties of Gulf Lane. Just as recent as December 19 of 2025. This occurs 1 to 2 times a year since the Whitney Road Village Creek subdivision was built in 2002. If you notice the current and that the water is 2 foot to 3 feet high, and this is on the north side of Mill Creek, where the annexing is going to be on the south side of the Mill Creek. You give me just a second, I'd like to provide you another picture. This here is at the end of Gulf Lane. You'll see the golf course here in the background. In the background, there's another piece of property over here. You can see the water is very, very detrimental to the properties. This here is the southwest view of the house we were just looking at. It's right here. This piece of property in the background is tax lot 200. You can see that the water is stemming all the way across the back here and as high as it is here. That's the flooding that goes on just on Gulf Lane. We're not talking about the flooding that occurs over on Golf Club Road. The northern tax lot number 201 used to be lot 200. It's a newly created property record that has not been populated by the Marion County Assessor's Office yet. However, it's still listed as exclusive farm use. The parent tax code account 533982 shows there was 2 acres classified as waste rural land. The middle tax lot number 900 also is a EFU property and has 2 acres of waste rural land. The southern tax lot number 000 is also EFU property without any waste rural land. I bring this to your attention as these 3 lots are within Basin 7 and 8 and west of Basin 11, all within the Mill Creek Basin and 4 of those acres the county assessor has determined as waste rural acreage and has no productive value for agriculture or residential purposes, likely due to the severe drainage issues within the Mill Creek Basin. Further, there are 3 more acres that are deemed wetlands, so there's a total of 7 acres in that area. You'll also notice that the 100-year floodplain runs right through that area, and all of this other stuff relies on natural drainage to be able to handle all the water that comes down that Mill Creek Basin. The 2009 State Storm Water Master Plan confirms that the existing infrastructure in Mill Creek Basin is inadequate for current needs, let alone new development. Our current system is already taxed beyond capability, with a documented $26 million backlog in necessary repairs. Developing these high groundwater EFU lots will displace water laterally, creating a foreseeable and quantifiable risk of further flooding for existing residences on Gulf Lane and Golf Club Road. The city cannot demonstrate the ability to manage the 100-year storm event runoff that would be generated by new residential impervious surfaces in this basin. The area is served by the Mill Creek Pump Station, which is nearing capacity. To resolve this, the city must complete the Mill Creek Force main extension and decommission the Gardner pump station. Portions of this basin are in an upper pressure service area where current water pressure is insufficient to support more homes. According to the Stormwater Master Plan, a 10.4 acre foot regional detention facility is required to mitigate flows in this basin. The regional detention facility is projected to take up 3 residential houses to the west of tax lot 200. Until this regional facility is fully funded and constructed, any annexation that adds more density to the Mill Creek Basin is premature and violates the city's own orderly growth requirements. If the system is already failing during minor storms, it cannot legally or safely accommodate the massive runoff volumes of a 100-year event produced by new residential impervious surfaces such as roofs, roads, and driveways. Annexing EFU land before these 100-year capacity issues are resolved places an unquantified flood risk on all existing neighbors. The next point I have is the lack of demonstrated housing needs. The demonstrated need for new residential land is based upon outdated and inaccurate growth projections. The city of Stayton in 1998 land and housing analysis used 2.7 people per household to calculate the housing needs. The 2000 census data reported 2.74 people per household in Stayton, and the 2024 census shows it moved down to 2.54 people per household in Stayton. The actual population growth is 0.8% annually, not the 1.6% assumed in the Stayton Comprehensive Planning document. The 2030 population target of 11,359 people is overstated. Based upon the U.S. Census Bureau, the actual 2024 population is 8,520 people, leaving Stayton 2,800 people below the goal. If I was to use the 1.6% growth rate, our adjusted population for 2030 would be 9,376 people, with a housing need requirement of 3,072, which would leave Stayton 2 houses short of the housing need that 2024 census shows. I remind you, we've only been growing at half that, 0.8%. Housing demand follows jobs and wages, not just zoning. Without a surge in local employment, annexing EFE land for speculative housing only risks underabsorption and places an unnecessary maintenance burden on the city. These lots are all EFU, and the area around them do not feel like residential areas. They closely resemble a farming community. Annexing the subject EFU parcels under land use file number 16-1224 would violate ORS 222.111 continuity requirements, and the property as the properties lack a common boundary with city limits. Infrastructure in the Mill City Basin is demonstratively inadequate, with unfunded stormwater and sewer upgrades. And the city's own data confirms no present need for additional residential land. Proceeding with annexation poses legal, physical, and environmental risk to Golf Club Road and Golf Club Lane residents, and undermines the principles of an orderly growth and farmland preservation required by the state and local law. If the annex, the city says that, hey, we'll worry about this when we do the development. Once the land is annexed, the city takes on the burden regardless of whether the developer is there, gets out, or a new developer. So all those problems become the city's. And the money that's there's $26 million behind now to try to fix the water area. Based upon all this, I request that this annexation be disapproved. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or testimony from the public? If not, we will go on to, does the applicant have a summary?
We do. Thank you. For the record, David Dodson, Willamette Valley Planning. So neighbors brought up a number of good points, one of which had to do with the existing road right-of-way for Golf Club Road. And I think there was an attempt to kind of clarify it, but it's our understanding that the right-of-way between the project and the existing city limits, which is about 3,000 lineal feet, would be annexed with this application. So that, in other words, that would be then fall under the jurisdiction of the city. However, the maintenance responsibilities for the roadway, which is like an arterial roadway, it's pretty significant for Marion County, would still remain with Marion County. And as was indicated, oftentimes there are a number of county roads that go through the city that are still maintained and not necessarily turned over to the city for their maintenance and all that. So it's our understanding that that road, and it varies in its right-of-way width. It is, you know, I think as narrow as like 54 feet or 56 feet in some areas, and it goes to 64 or beyond. But there's no proposal with this annexation request to modify that right-of-way. That right-of-way would stay as it is. And in terms of road improvements in the future, typically those are triggered when lands adjacent to those roads are say urbanized. So they would need to be annexed and then developed to city standards, in which case then they would look at widening the road, perhaps putting curbs and gutters as opposed to just ditches and things like that. So just wanted to provide some clarification there. So again, the intent is not to widen the road with this annexation application, the future subdivision. It would remain as it is under county jurisdiction. Concern about water and drainage. Obviously, a lot of this area is flat. We do know that there are a number of acres of wetlands that are part of these properties, and we are doing everything we can in our subdivision design to attempt to preserve as much of those wetlands as we can. There's also a small portion of the 100-year floodplain associated with the creek that runs across the northeast corner of the property. We're not proposing any development within that 100-year floodplain. And also, not with the annexation, but with the future subdivision application, we're obligated as a developer and applicant to essentially address the city, both I say state and federal water quality requirements. So that includes water quality and water quantity. So it includes detention. So there will be a series of detention ponds on the project to retain and release the waters at historical rates, so that again, those peak flows don't minimize impacts to any adjacent properties or the drainage system that they drain to. And again, as I mentioned, we're going to be preserving much of the wetlands, and the wetlands also act as kind of part of that buffer for that flooding. So even though you see pictures of that water rising and it looking like a lake for a period of time, oftentimes that's a wetland. And again, our intent with this plan is to preserve as much of the wetlands as we can on the site. And you'll see that with a future subdivision application. Concern about traffic and safety on Golf Club Road. That's a big concern, and we understand that. And that's why with this particular project, we would only have 2 new roads that would provide access to Golf Club Road. Those are roads, those aren't driveways. So no driveways on Golf Club Road and no one backing onto Golf Club Road. There would be 2 new public streets to serve as primary and secondary access to serve the future subdivision here. So those would be a T intersection, you know, and have a right turn and a left turn movement, or, you know, and again, I'm not sure when one of the requirements with a subdivision is we will need to do a traffic impact analysis to look to see what improvements might be required. Depending on the volumes and the anticipated level of development, that could trigger a potential turn lane, say for example, a middle turn lane on Golf Club Road to allow vehicles to pull over and then again make a turn in, or even acceleration lane and things like that. But we won't know that until we bundle up the submission for the subdivision application that would come before you and be available for the public to look at as well. I think that's it. Mark, do you have anything to add or not? Okay, that concludes. Happy to answer any questions if you might have any remaining.
Thank you. We now have staff summary.
Yes. So I just want to reiterate that it isn't, it's an annexation, and there are clear criteria that the Planning Commission and the City Council need to meet for this application. And this is the first of several hearings, potentially, at least City Council. And the notices, I'm sorry that if you didn't get a notice, I'm glad that you heard about this, and we will definitely get the notices to you. But it shouldn't have been other notices. This should have been the first one. You're required to get a notice 20 days before the hearing. So the criteria for annexation, just to let you know, it's one is that the needs exist in the community, and I believe we had public testimony as well. I did use the analysis from the comprehensive plan, which is from 2013, and the numbers projected for our future growth were really a big growth number, a big percentage that never happened. So our growth numbers that were projected do show a lot of need that's probably over what they are. And I want to also mention this, that the state was notified about this hearing, and the state looks at all those different goals. So it's going to look at housing. Housing has been something that the state is saying that we definitely need more of, but they're also looking at farmland and those other goals that the state wants to have. So it is in the urban growth boundary, and there are many plans that were planned for many years that take in consideration growth for this area. So you have a transportation plan, stormwater master plan, and the city is aware, very aware of the stormwater and the traffic issues that were mentioned today. So if we go to the next, the next criteria is that the site is capable of being serviced by adequate public services. There were a lot of findings that I'm sure the applicant saw, that there is a lot of services that are planned for the area, but it would take a lot of extension of those services and streets. The other finding is that it's contiguous to the city jurisdiction limits. And as we mentioned, that's why there's required to have the right of way annexed. And I also had a concern about the cherry stem and what that entails. And I have reached out to our attorney. I'm thinking that there is an issue with the right of way that would be needed. And because we might need more right of way to do your development. And I wonder if you may want to continue the hearing for another month, and I could talk to the attorney or the city attorney more about that issue. Because the right of way, as they proposed, is the right of way that exists right now. But if you were to develop and need more right of way, then we're not going to take it from the other people on the frontage. So I wonder what he would say for that. So that's one thing that I would wonder. Actually reading the criteria, the proposed annexation is compatible with the character of the surrounding area and complies with urban growth boundary policies. And that's the thing, is that I agree with you that they're farm areas, but at the same time, our comprehensive plan has been around. 2013 clearly stated that this was going to be a residential area. So we have to also think about the owners of this property. They know that they're in the urban growth boundary, and this has been planned for many years. And yeah, so then the annexation request complies or can be made to comply with all applicable provisions of the state law and local law. And I believe it does. I think there's questions about the cherry stem issues, because then it relates to, can you have services along that road that are necessary for your development. And I do think that the state is well aware of this application. And I did get a request from Fair Housing for Oregon, excuse me. I'm from Rhode Island originally. And they did reach out and they asked me for the staff report and for the write-up. They have not submitted comments, which I was somewhat surprised because they asked for it. Maybe they will have comments later for the city council meeting. But I just wanted to make you aware that the state is looking at these different, so they're going to be looking not just at housing, but at farm and all those other goals, statewide goals. And Marion County is well aware of this annexation. Of course, they've approved the partitions, and we talked with them about potential development. They are concerned. They are not concerned for the annexation. They've made that clear in their comments. It's the development that they, I think that's what we're trying. That's why our findings were pretty full, to make the applicant aware that there will be some not issues, but things to overcome in full development. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. So upon hearing the staff summary, I would entertain a motion to continue the hearing. Or we continue it before we have deliberation, is that correct? Yeah.
So you could make a motion to continue the hearing, or all the other motions would involve closing the hearing. So
I would like to continue the hearing. I don't know how everybody else is feeling, but I'll go ahead and do that.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I do. I have to get glasses.
Sure.
Yeah, I got it. I move that the Stayton Planning Commission continue the public hearing on the application for annexation of Randall Myers Brownstone Homes for approximately 59.63 acres located on Golf Club Road Southeast. Land use file 16-12/24 until February 23rd, 2026.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All All that approve?
Aye.
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 Motion carries to continue the hearing until February 23rd, 2026.
Does Larry want to come back?
Larry can come back.
With that said, so this hearing will be continued to February. Some of the issues that you brought up tonight will be further addressed by the developer and planning staff and other staff in the city to try to provide you some more clarification on some of your questions. All right, that concludes the hearing, what we had on the agenda for this evening. So if there's nothing else for us tonight. Yep. All right, we stand adjourned. You got okay, good.